Welcome to our journey back in time to the Wild West. Picture this. You're an early pioneer, braving harsh landscapes, scorching deserts, and unforgiving terrains. Your survival depends on your grit, your determination, and crucially, what you carry in your chuck wagon. Today we're uncovering the survival foods that early pioneers relied on. We're talking about the kind of food that kept them alive, kept them pushing forward when times got tough. These weren't fancy meals, but they were fuel, pure and simple, providing the energy needed to conquer the challenges of the frontier. First up is hardtack. Imagine a biscuit but 3 times as hard, baked to within an inch of its life. We're talking rock hard here, folks. Pioneers called it by many names: ship's biscuit, tooth dullers, sheet iron crackers, and believe me, those names didn't come from a place of affection. But you know what hardtack did have going for it? It lasted. This stuff could survive for months, even years, without spoiling, making it the ultimate survival food for those long journeys westward. Now, I wouldn't recommend trying to eat hardtack dry. You'd break a tooth, I guarantee it. Pioneers knew this, so they'd soak it in water, coffee, whatever liquid they could spare to soften it up. Even then, it was about as appealing as chewing on a wet piece of cardboard, but it provided those essential carbs, the energy source those pioneers desperately needed. We're talking about 10 miles a day in scorching heat, hauling supplies, building shelters. Hardtack wasn't about flavor, it was about survival, plain and simple. It was the fuel that kept their bodies going when the going got tough. Next we've got salt pork. Imagine this, you're miles from civilization, no refrigeration in sight. You need a source of protein and fat that won't spoil after a week in the sun. Enter salt pork, the ultimate pioneer solution. This wasn't your fancy bacon, mind you. We're talking about tough, fatty cuts of pork, cured in salt to prevent spoilage. It wasn't pretty, but it did the job. Pioneers would pack salt pork into barrels, ensuring it lasted for months, sometimes even years. It provided much-needed calories and fat, essential for surviving harsh winters and long journeys. Now, I've eaten my fair share of strange things in the wild, but even I'll admit, salt pork can be intense. Extremely salty, incredibly fatty. It's not a flavor for the faint of heart. Pioneers would often fry it up, the rendered fat serving as cooking oil for other ingredients. They'd crumble it into stews, adding a much-needed dose of flavor and sustenance. It wasn't gourmet dining, but out on the frontier, salt pork meant the difference between survival and going hungry. Now let's talk about beans. Small, humble, but packed with a nutritional punch, beans were a staple for good reason. They were lightweight, easily transportable, and could withstand the rigors of the trail. We're talking pinto beans, kidney beans, any kind of bean you can imagine. These little guys were a godsend on the frontier. Beans are packed with protein and fiber, essential for keeping those pioneer bellies full and their energy levels up. And the best part? They could be cooked in a variety of ways. A simple pot of beans simmered over an open fire, the aroma filling the air, provided a comforting and nourishing meal at the end of a long day. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Survival is all about maximizing your resources, and beans were a prime example of that. They were a nutritional powerhouse, readily available, and could be stretched to feed a crowd. Let's talk about dried fruit. Imagine this. You're weeks into your journey, the landscape is nothing but dust and scrub, and you haven't seen a fresh piece of fruit in what feels like an eternity. Then, you reach into your bag and pull out a handful of dried apples, peaches, or berries. A taste of sweetness in a world of grit and grime. Dried fruit was like finding treasure for pioneers. It provided a much-needed boost of natural sugar, vitamins, and a welcome change from the monotony of their regular diet. Plus, it lasted for ages. The sun-drying process removed the moisture, preserving the fruit, and concentrating its sweetness. Finally, we come to coffee. Now I know what you're thinking. Coffee isn't exactly a survival essential. But for those pioneers, a cup of coffee was more than just a caffeine fix. It was a taste of home, a reminder of civilization, a small comfort in a vast and unforgiving wilderness. Now forget your fancy espresso machines and lattes. Pioneer coffee was strong, bitter, and usually brewed cowboy style. Just coarse grounds thrown into a pot of boiling water. They'd let it steep, grounds and all, resulting in a brew that could knock your socks off. But it did the trick. It provided a much-needed energy boost on those long days and helped to warm the spirits on cold desert nights. It was a ritual, a moment of respite, a chance to connect with fellow travelers and share stories around the campfire. Thanks for joining us on this culinary journey through history. We've explored the tough, gritty, and surprisingly resourceful world of the pioneer diet. From tooth-dulling hardtack to surprisingly versatile salt pork, these foods were the backbone of survival on the American frontier. They might not have been fancy, but they were packed with the nutrients and energy that pioneers needed to conquer the challenges of westward expansion. So next time you reach for a snack, spare a thought for those hardy souls who came before us. They survived on grit, determination, and a whole lot less. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating insights into the past. We'll see you on the next adventure.